Nintendo, again, duplicates, hacks. Oh my God, 2,600 hacks. Yeah, this is just a plague in here. 2,600, like, there's gonna be a plague of stuff in the Nintendo hacks. Good luck in there. So here we are with the Super Console X, claiming that it has over 100,000 games, 75 systems. I mean, this thing is ridiculous. And you can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on AliExpress. It's readily available. It's running emulate. You can also run an Android. And it's this little tiny device that comes with 2 wireless controllers. And I have to say, I like it. I like the thing. It's got so many interesting things about it, and we're gonna jump into this video. We're gonna see all the games, all the emulators. It definitely has its problems, don't get me wrong. For people who watch my channel, you're gonna be like, this thing is junk, this sucks, because you all are spoiled. That's right, I'm gonna say it. You all are spoiled with the amount of great builds that are out there these days, the amazing work that people are doing out there. But let me get back to this thing. For a little plug and play device with, out the box, it's working. And some of these game categories are actually pretty decent. Some of these emulators are actually optimized. And with the price of Raspberry Pi and everything else, like, what's a better plug and play value proposition out there? I don't know if there is one right now. So with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to look at all the games. You're going to see the themes. I found some pain points of mine. We're going to play some games, and then I'll finally give you my final review, because there are pros and cons to this. Don't get me wrong. There's pros and cons. All right, so here it is. You got 2 controllers. These controllers are PlayStation 2 style controllers. They are wireless, 2.4 gigahertz fobs and the USB fob in there. And then they work. Don't expect long range. They're very lightweight. They work. Maybe 5 out of 10 I'd give them. You get a couple manuals here, a couple support items. In case you have issues with it, you can, go ahead and put in an inquiry. They give you like resources, things like that. And then here's the main box, which is going to have everything you need. It has an HDMI cable, power cable. This remote is for if you want to boot into Android. You can use it like a TV box, although it's pretty underpowered in my opinion. And then you have a USB 4-port hub in case you want to run 4 players on this, or put a USB drive on it with movies on it or whatever. You can transfer stuff onto there. And then this is a console itself. So I've never seen one of these before. I did not realize it was so small. When you look at this thing on Amazon, it does not look that small. It looks like it's a Super Nintendo size, But no, it's this really tiny hockey puck looking thing. It's got vents on the bottom, rubber feet. It's got IOs on the left and in the back, HDMI, networking, and USBs. And then it's got the 256 gigabyte SD card. You could buy this thing in the 128 smaller versions, but the price difference is minimal. Might as well get the biggest one. There's some larger games on there like Dreamcast, stuff like that. But yeah, that's about it. All you got to do is plug this thing in and boot it up, and the controllers work right off the bat. All right, so let's have a look at this thing on first boot. 116,600 games. On paper, that is ridiculous. That is a lot of games for sure. And look how long it took me just to load into that screen. Now, on first look, though, you're like, man, look at all these. There's like games that are duplicates, things like that. Well, some of them are for different systems. That is totally fine. Some are different discs. And so are they actually counting? Is there really 100,000 workable running games? No. The answer is just no. Is it maybe 75% of that? Yes. Yeah, it's about 75%. Do every single game work? No. Is all the artwork correct? No. You're like, man, Drew, this isn't looking so good to start. Well. Let's just check it out. This is the default theme that's on it. When you boot, you can see there it's got the little main menu, and you can go into the subsystems here. There are no video snaps, meaning it's just a static image here on the right side of your screen. And so let's go ahead and go back. Let's check out the games. Let's check out the 3 themes that are included. So Amiga got 4,200 games. Amstrad CPC. So like 11,000 games here. This is a little ridiculous. And there you go. You've got multiple ROMs, versions of a ROM in different things. So I would say this for this particular collection, it's like half of what they're saying here, so there's a big chunk of your stuff. Now, arcade, the 1600 arcade games, the arcade set, I'm not totally upset at. I mean, you are seeing like some Neo Geo games like thrown in here too, like things are miscategorized and all over the place. But I have to say, like, it's okay. It's decent. It's a decent arcade set here. I'm not hating on it. The arcade section, now there's going to be a Final Burn Alpha section. That thing should get you a little upset. But let's go ahead and get out of here. So huge arcade set there, but it does have like X-Men. It has wrestling. It has the heavy hitters you're going to probably want to play on here. So that part is cool, and they run really well. I'm actually quite impressed by the performance of this thing. I wasn't expecting much out of the box. There's a lot of chipsets with this, but you got Atari, all the Atari systems. You got like 5,000 games here. What's up with that? You got a lot of stuff. It's like 3D tic-tac-toe. You got 4 of the same game. So yeah, a lot of duplicates here. So they're buffing up the total amount of ROMs in the thing. A couple more things. Now, Autonomous Wave, this is where I'm going to change the theme set, show you a different theme really quick. But while I want to talk about this, you're going to see me at one point play Dolphin Blue, which is a Autonomous Wave game. And in the past, when I've reviewed a similar build, just last week I reviewed a build and it froze completely. So I have to give this box kudos in that they're optimizing the performance on this thing. They're definitely getting the resolution correct, getting the emulator settings correct, at least to a good basis point. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here and show you this new theme. So you can see that Alec Full is the creator of this theme, and it's beautiful, especially from this angle. You have his little logo in the upper left, and then you can see that Kin Hank superimposed their logo on top of it. That's definitely a con, I would say, in this build. Is like, come on, dude. Like, they throw their logo everywhere they can, on the bezels, on the loading screen, on the splash screens. You name it, it's on there. But let's go ahead and keep going. We were on Autonomous Wave. I was talking about the performance. Is Autonomous Wave playable for those hardcore enthusiasts that want the original thing? No. If you just want to play the game, you don't mind a couple hiccups here and there, it is kind of playable. I'd give it like a B-. Commodore 64, you got 6,900 games. Coleco, you got 173. CPS 1, 2, and 3, you got all the games here. And like here, I feel like it's the CPS games are good. You got the correct games. You got the games that people are going to want to play on here. CPS 1 and 2, and then look, Alien vs. Predator. I mean, it's good. Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Superheroes, Street Fighter Zeros, Vampire Hunters, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, X-Men Children of the Atom, right? Fun stuff right there. Like, I would almost buy the system just for that right there. And then you got Sega Dreamcast. What do you have here? Only 23 games. Now, this is where it's lacking. This thing could actually run quite a few Dreamcast games, and it just doesn't have that many. But remember, this is only a 256 gigabyte SD card. They're probably trying to save space. And this is where you're going to save some space. All right, now that we're into Nintendo, let's change the theme one more time here. We're going to try out the Pixel theme. And the cool thing about this emulate is I believe you can just hook it up to the internet. I haven't done it on this particular build, but typically you just hook it up to the internet over here, updates and downloads, and you can just click on the themes here, and it'll download additional themes. So you can absolutely customize the looks of this additionally. So here you go. We're now in Pixel. This is what Pixel looks like. You got a family computer system at 2,700 games. And that's ridiculous. Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way there's that many. Excuse me. And again, you're greeted with all kinds of duplicates and things like that. Now, is there a problem with that? I mean, yeah, it's so simple. You could still search, though. Let me see what button is search on here. I think just... There we go. You can jump to a letter like this, and you can get to things pretty quickly. So, it is fairly simple to jump around. Now, Final Burn Alpha. Here's where we come into issues. A lot of these don't even work. This is where the bulk of the issues I found were tons of duplicates. A lot of these, like the bootlegs, the Japan versions, it's usually the version that doesn't have any kind of parentheses next to it is the one that's going to work. So this one's probably going to work. This one you're going to have issues with. And you might be able to install new emulators, change the settings, the resolution, whatever, to get it to run properly. But, no, a lot of these do not work. And it's 6,000 games. You know, how do you really jump around here? You know, you have to hit, you know, start or select on your controller. And, oh, I added one to favorites. But I'm actually in Family Computer System again. So Final Burn Alpha, you can hit the controller, you know, go down to, you know, maybe you want like Cadillacs versus dinosaurs. Maybe I wonder if they put it in here. There you go. Cadillacs and dinosaurs, and there you go. You have 4 versions of it, really. So, and then like, what is this game? Kadashal? Okay. So I'm sure it's a version of Kadash. Anyways, this Final Burn Alpha directory is just fun. Okay, Family Computer Disk System, not just Family Computer. 297 looks like that's just a normal thing. Game & Watch 53, that's a normal thing. You find that in a lot of builds. Game Gear, pretty much all of them, or plus some duplicates. It looks like Game Boy should be around 1,000, so 1,600. So again, you're gonna find some stuff in. Yeah, there you go. You got 4-in-1 packs, duplicates all over the place. But then you do have the games you're gonna want to play. So let's just check really quick. You want to play Super Mario, so you go down to S. You go down to SU, and it should have those games, right? Super Chinese Land. Okay. I thought that was a... so there you go. Super Mario World, Mario Land 1, 2, and then a few other versions. You even got Super Off-Road. Nice. All right, Game Boy Advance, again, should be about 1,000. There's probably going to be way more. Yeah, again, just crazy duplicates in there. Game Boy Color, 1,500 again. You're going to have some duplicates, but you're going to have your Pokemons in there. If you want to play Pokemon, it'll be in there. Sega Genesis, 1,700 again. You're going to have some homebrews. It looks like this theme is a little broken because it doesn't have a hacks. It doesn't have a hacked artwork already set up. So if we just go back now to our previous theme here, you'll notice that there's a hack directory. Now the hacks, these Sega Genesis hacks are like homebrew games, things like that. And a lot of times they'll put those also in the Sega Genesis collection itself. So these hacks, these 71 games are also in here probably, but here they are separated out. Here, you can go ahead and check them out in case no one's ever heard of this before. Wow, is this a different theme? How come the hacks? That's cool. For some reason, we weren't seeing this before, were we? Oh, I guess the consoles maybe versus the... Oh, that's cool. I guess there's different views. I change the view. So we go UI settings, theme set, theme configuration, game list view. Okay, cool. So you could change the different views here. And I guess it changed on me to, I think we're either on tiles or a grid view right now. Let's go click grid. Let's see what that looks like. So that's kind of cool. Within this build, you can, customize it even more, the way that the games show up within the build. I knew that was an option, but I didn't know that you could do it with this particular theme. Okay, so this is now grid view. Okay, before we had the little rounded bubbles. I don't know if you all remember what it was. You can go ahead and rewind the video. But that's grid. That must have been tiles then before. Detailed. You're probably going to have the most amount of information. It'll give you, the ROM name, how many players it is, things like that. So you're going to get a lot more information per game. As you see here, right? You get the little metadata in the bottom right, the region. You can see the flag there. So this is detailed. This is what we were on before. So we already checked all these out. And now we're on Intellivision, 158 games. Mame, 2,000 games. So this is kind of weird, right? You got Mame, you also got Arcade. I imagine you're going to see the same games pop up twice here in those two categories. Sega Master System 540, Sega Genesis 2100. Didn't we just see a Sega Genesis? Wow. So crazy. I imagine, okay, no, they do have a Mega Drive. So weird. Like these I mean, it literally, Sega Genesis 1989, Sega Mega Drive. Okay. Sega Mega Drive Japan. Okay. So you got Sega Mega Drive, which is the European, I'm guessing. And then you got the Sega Mega Drive Japan, the Japanese. Wow. Just wow. So between all these games, I don't know how many of those are duplicates or whatever else. MSX2 900, MSX2 again. This is MSX1. It's just the picture's wrong. This is MSX2. Then you got Nintendo 64, 256 games. Nintendo 64, I wouldn't get too excited about it. I would, nowadays with how cheap computers are, you're way better off emulating Nintendo 64 on a PC, an old laptop, even like a $200-$300 laptop can run these just fine. There's a lot of emulators, Project 64, things like that. Naomi got 5 games. So there you go. Cool to have these. These are all fun games. So that's cool that they included all those. I would play all those games in a heartbeat. Nintendo DS, 543. I'm not a huge DS fan on emulation just because of the way the screens are and stuff. But, Mario Kart, things like that are fun. Pokemon. Neo Geo CD, 78. Neo Geo, 265. Okay, another duplicates. There's definitely duplicates in here somewhere. I can already see some there. It's usually like 150 games. Nintendo, again, duplicates, hacks. Oh my God, 2,600 hacks. This is just a plague in here. 2,600. There's gonna be a plague of stuff in the Nintendo hacks. Good luck in there. Neo Geo Pocket, 340. Neo Geo Pocket Color, 118. Odyssey 2. Open Beats of Rage, 130. Turbo Graphics. And then the Turbo Graphics. It also includes the PC Engine as well. So, Pokemon Minis, just in case you wanted those. Ports, there are some little fun ports in here like Quake. Diablo is in here, so pull out your keyboard and a mouse and enjoy. So, a lot of people will just want it for that. They'll pay $100 to play Diablo. PSP, 25 games. Now, when I shot this video, I was like, no way, what a waste of space. Now, do these games look good? No, they look really poor. You're going to get low graphics. You're going to get graphical glitches. But they do run at 60 frames per second. I got it to run at 60 FPS, which I was shocked. Okay? But it did work. PSP Minis, these fun little mini games, 3-2-1 Super Crash, little fun game. Check it out. PlayStation. Now, here's the thing on PlayStation. It's too good to be true, right? How do you fit 700 PlayStation games on a 256 gigabyte memory card? It's impossible. Unless you strip out all the audio tracks, right? Those are taking up a bunch of space. So I do play Bloody Roar in this video too, and there's no music. And honestly, it really does take away from the experience in many, many games. So that is a big disappointment here. If you're trying to rebuild the PlayStation Classic or whatever, this is probably not the solution for you. Sega 32X 60, Sega CD 95, Super Famicom. What the 14,000 games? Really? 14,000 games in Super Famicom. Okay. Yeah, cool, dude. Cool story. Look at that. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Look at that. They're like Acurates are like, oh, yeah, we'll put like 12 of the same games. We'll just fill the whole page with this game, right? Like, why not? Why not? Oh, Acturizer 2, perfect. Another 20 games. Family Values, okay, another 10 games. Another 30 games here. Jesus. Let's get to a game where we know there's going to be a lot. Let's get to Super. And, I bet you the Super games. Let's see. You ready for this? Super Mario, 20 games. All right. If we can even get to Super here. Wow. Can you imagine? Now, does this mean you got to throw this thing in the fire and burn it? No. I'm really, inspecting this thing. And like I said, okay, here we go, Super. Like I said, there's a lot going for it. From a plug-and-play device. I actually really like the system overall. You're going to wait until you get my final review on this thing. But, yeah, this is atrocious. This should be a sin. All right. Wow. Janky goal. We're not even, there we go. There's your Marios. Do you see how many Marios there are? Oh, my God. Did you guys see that? Look at this Super Mario section. Wow. Now, I'll give Super Mario RPG a pass because that is an amazing game. I don't mind looking at this game 20 in a row. All right. Well, there you have it. Super Mario Kart 8 in here in the Super Mario hacks. All right. Super Nintendo, only 3,700 games. Yeah. So if you are going to play Super Nintendo, go to here. Don't go to the Super Famicom area. That's just like, that part of the image should be thrown in the fire. Okay. Super Nintendo hacks, 380. Super graphics, 319. So quite a few there. Vectrex, you got 70, you got all the Virtual Boy games, all the Wonder Swan. This is when they throw in a bunch of games, though. Let's see what they got here. Sometimes they'll stuff in, thousands of games in these systems here, like 1,000 there. This is going to be, 20,000 games. Like, that is throwing, a wrench in everything. So there you have it. We made it to the end. You can absolutely, like, just favorite your games you actually want to play. There is a big convenience factor here that all these games are on here, and then you just favorite the ones that work, and you can get working, things like that. I don't know about all you, but, like, it's cheap. It works out of the box. If I could just get the games I want to play on it, and I don't have to download it, I don't have to set it up, like, it depends on who you are, where you are in life, but, some people that watch my channel are in their 30s, their 40s, they're probably making good money. This is a drop in the bucket for them. To save them the amount of time it would take them to build something like this, it's a no-brainer for that particular person. For somebody that's a purist, somebody who does this as a hobby, or somebody who's maybe 20 and doesn't have a job and needs something cheap, could definitely do it on their own way cheaper. But I'm not hating it. All right, so if you do want to boot into Android, all you do is hit start on your controller, press quit, or press start, go down to quit, click quit, then another menu shows up that you just saw, and then you say reboot to NAND, N-A-N-D, and that's the internal storage, so it has a different operating system on it. And then there you go, you're in Android. You can hook up a USB device with some videos on it. You can hook it up to the internet and download different Android apps or streaming, things like that. I mean, this chip is not that powerful. I would, if you have a TV, I'd way recommend the Roku, the Fire Stick, or the Google TV. They're way better devices. But the fact that this thing can do it, I mean, it does unlock some things. Maybe some, again, I think older Android games or apps or things like that. But that's about it. All right, so here we are in a Thomas Wave. We're going to go and run Dolphin Blue. And like I said earlier in the video, if you missed it, this game froze on me last time I played it with a similar device with a similar chipset. So while it's not perfect, it's definitely playable. Like, I get upset when they throw on ROMs and games that just won't load whatsoever. They crash, and I have to say, like, while this isn't an A+ gaming experience, I also am not upset at the same time. So most of you will just skip these games anyways, but this is the upper limits of emulation, and you can see that they were working just fine. Now, here was a big problem, and this is what this thing gets the most amount of hate for, which is all those Final Burn Alpha games. You get these little errors here. And you can see here, I actually tried all 3 emulators that they had already installed on here. If you hit either select or start and you go to System Advanced Options here, you can change different things. There's also the advanced game options as well, where you can go ahead and change other things about the game. And maybe I just need to mess with these settings more, but I just thought, maybe if I run it with the Final Burn Alpha 2012 core or a different core, maybe that would fix the issue. As far as, I don't care enough to get to the bottom of this. What ended up happening here is like the 19XX, the game I'm trying to play here, all the extra ROMs that have like different things next to them, like European, Japan in parentheses, none of those would work here, right? But if you go scroll up and the 19XX game with no parentheses, it worked just fine, right? So while the games crash and they're overhyping the amount of games on this system, it's also still working. The ROM, the game I actually want to play, if it's 19XX, like that's working. And maybe if there's a particular version you want, that might not work, and that's going to be an issue for you. But the fact that there is a ROM that we're about to play right now that does work, is a slightly redeeming quality than if none of them work. Where there's definitely systems out there where like there's just tons of things that just don't work, and then there's no redeeming qualities either. So as I kind of summarize this review, my long summary, that's my first thing of like why I actually kind of don't hate this thing, is where it does have its issues. It still has a lot going for it at the same time. Like, I think, if you were to give this to a random person, they get that error. They're like, oh, I'm going to try a different one. Oh, I'm going to try a different one. And eventually they get one that does work. So in that regard, they still get to play their game. It was slightly annoying that they had to go through a bunch of other stuff, but, they were still able to play the game. But here you go. You got arcade. You can see there's no shaders on or anything like that, but you can absolutely turn them on. Here we have the Nintendo 64 performance, and I played this game on a previous system with the same chipset, and this one was way more playable, way better looking. This is about what I expect, especially, like I said, for a little mini computer like this and so cheap. Performance is decent, you know? Like, it's being bottlenecked by the chip that's in this little device, but it's not awful. It's definitely not awful. It's decent. So here comes the PSP, where I thought, like, no way that this is going to work at all. And you saw in the beginning of the video, it works. Now, there's absolutely some graphical glitches and things like that, as you see, like little boxing, stuff like that. They probably have auto skip on. But you'll see here in the frames per second in the upper right corner that it doesn't drop frames whatsoever. So I'm totally fine with downgrading the graphics and getting it to a point where it's playable from a controller standpoint. By the way, that was my editing. I fast-forwarded to a different round. There was not a lag spike. You know, it's still running just fine. All right, so summary, pros and cons. Pros, it's one of the cheapest devices out there, and it just works when you plug and play. It gives you everything, including controllers, the memory card, everything's right. So there's even the little USB adapter. So there's not a single thing you need to buy afterwards. It's just a plug and play device. It works. It has a lot of the popular ROMs on it ready to go, and it's optimized to a certain extent. And it looks cool. I think it's by far probably one of the cooler little mini devices out there. Now, the cons. The PlayStation games are an absolute atrocity. The organization is an atrocity. The images and the graphics on it are an atrocity. There's lots of ROMs that don't even work. There's a ton of duplicates. The performance is not that great when you could just put this on a computer and run it yourself. There's lots of other options out there. But like I said earlier in the video, for something you could buy on Amazon, something you can gift to somebody, someone who's super busy and just doesn't want to build this. All the people that comment on my videos and say, oh, can I just buy this? Here you go. Here's your version for you. Go for it. Anyways, that's what I think. Let me know what you all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.